This is the book of Psalms 58 and verse 3. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies.
Did the United States airstrike a girls' elementary school and kill 175 people?
Not that we know of, Sean, and the Department of War is investigating this matter, and I would just tell you very strongly, the United States of America does not target civilians, unlike the rogue Iranian regime that targets civilians, that kills children, that has killed thousands of their own people in the past several weeks, and uses propaganda quite effectively, and unfortunately many people in this room have fallen for that propaganda. So I would caution you from pointing the finger at the United States of America when it comes to targeting civilians, because that's not something that these armed forces do.
Shalom. First, I can start off by giving all great honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash, the belongings that teaches elders and apostles of great millstone, likewise brothers putting on this truth, faithfully, fearlessly feeding the sheep and two brothers and sisters that are tuning in. Shalom. Today's lesson is titled, As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. And if you know the word puffeth, basically boasting, bigging up themselves, challenging, people or a nation, to, step forward and do what, against what they're doing. Okay, this is the book of Psalms 10 and start verse 5. It reads, His ways are always grievous, thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. He has said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. Now, you saw in the opening clip, with that, that Shedamite, that, basically does all the talking, for the president. And you can see she boasts, when they ask her the question about, killing those civilians out there in Iran, particularly those children, or the school that was full of girls. She said that they never did that, and that the United States has a policy of never engaging with civilians. Well, that's not true. And I'm going to bring out the proof that the United States military, in fact, does kill civilians, does kill innocent people. And it's been captured on film. But let's go a little further here into the scriptures before I bring out this proof, of this devil speaking lies. And she's a representation, of the current administration when she speak, that Levette, Shedamite devil that you see, on the screen here, and, Esau and these Edomites, they're feeling themselves, and I'm talking about the ones that, are sitting in the positions of authority and power, because, as they have changed the name of their Department of Defense to the Department of War, this red devil, this man of perdition is going across this globe, raging war and taking away peace, which is exactly what he was supposed to do. And is supposed to do because, he is the wicked. This is Ecclesiastes 8 and 11 reads, Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. Now, let's get a refresher of what she said.
And I would just tell you very strongly, the United States of America does not target civilians.
It was 8:15 in the morning on August 6, 1945. People were on their way to work, children were starting their lessons in school, and 3 planes flew 31,060 feet above the Japanese city of Hiroshima. The bomb exploded 1,968 feet above the city. 3 days later, a second bomb was dropped over Nagasaki. To this day, the exact number of people killed in the bombings remains contested. It is likely unknowable. After the Manhattan Project successfully tested their new atomic weapon, the US military had 2 bombs available for use, Little Boy and Fat Man. The atomic bombs were intended to destroy Japan's ability to make war. while also sending a message to other adversaries about the latest American weapon. Hiroshima was considered an ideal target to showcase the power of the bomb. Detonation at the ideal altitude above the city, flat and surrounded by hills, would demonstrate the power and spectacle of the bomb. The second bomb was originally bound for Kokura, but heavy cloud cover forced the pilot to reroute to a secondary target, Nagasaki. That bomb detonated northwest of the city, in the Urakami Valley. In both cities, survivors reported seeing a bright flash of light followed by a loud booming sound. Moments after detonation, each city was engulfed in flames and reduced to ruin. The Japanese surrendered 6 days after the bombing of Nagasaki and signed a treaty to make their surrender official on September 2nd. The US was eager to know the effects of the bombs and sent scientists to Hiroshima and Nagasaki as part of the first landing party. In trying to establish the number of deaths, the first task was to establish how many people were in both cities to begin with. Unfortunately, before the bombings, the Japanese didn't know the population of either city. The best proxies for the population were originally thought to be rice ration cards, but they didn't include transient laborers and were often outdated. The Manhattan Project estimated that there were 255,000 people in Hiroshima and 195,000 in Nagasaki, but they were not confident in their mortality numbers and called them a guess. After establishing the population of the cities, a joint commission of researchers from the Allied forces and Japan created mortality curves to establish the death rate based on the proximity to the bomb. This required knowledge of how many people were in various parts of the city at the time of the bombing. The most reliable count of population was from a source that kept meticulous attendance records, schools, and schoolchildren. Here's a map of the schools in Hiroshima. At the time of the bombing, many of the children were not in class. Instead, they were assigned to patriotic work parties across the city. The data from their attendance allowed researchers to establish damage and death totals throughout the city. At the Motokawa Primary School, number 1, located only half a kilometer from ground zero, 100% of the 192 students were killed. At the third location, all of the 134 students from 2 schools who were assigned to clearing fire breaks were killed. Within roughly half a kilometer of the explosion, virtually everyone died instantly. Within 1,200 meters of the blast, around 50% died that day. The American and Allied figures were similar to each other, which is most likely attributable to them using the same assumptions for the pre-bombing populations of the cities. Several Japanese estimates were also published in the 1940s, but given their poor record-keeping during the war, Allies were skeptical about their accuracy. A tricky element in establishing the death toll is time. Most deaths occurred in the immediate aftermath of the bombing, and some occurred months later. There are also those who died many years later from cancer caused by excess radiation exposure. In 1975, the UN supported a Japanese-led effort to reevaluate the after effects of the bombings, which led to much higher estimates than in the 1940s. Why is there such a large difference between these estimates and those of the 1940s? The main disagreement stems from the number of people in the cities at the time of the bombings. In particular, the Japanese Symposium in the 1970s concluded that another 10,000 victims could be added to Hiroshima because military victims had been left out of the American studies. 30,000 Korean workers may have been killed at Hiroshima, and up to 10,000 in Nagasaki, but those numbers are very uncertain. Anyone who was commuting to work and wasn't a resident of the city would have been present but not counted. There's a great deal of uncertainty being dealt with in these estimates, and none of them should be dismissed for under or over counting. The initial estimates from the 1940s placed their low estimates around 70,000 deaths at Hiroshima and 40,000 at Nagasaki. That's 110,000 total. The Japanese re-estimates from the 1970s placed their high estimates around 140,000 at Hiroshima and 70,000 at Nagasaki. That's 210,000 total. Both recognize that the majority of deaths occurred on the day of the bombing, with nearly all of them taking place by the end of 1945. Neither of these should be considered more authoritative than the other. This isn't an easy calculation to make, but it's important to try.
And you saw, yeah, it was a long clip, but it really goes back to what they did to Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan, okay? And the total was a couple 100,000 men, women, and children that had nothing to do with the war, okay, were killed, and as you saw in that documentary there, okay, which is over 6 minutes long, when they did the tally, their scientists even flew over there to go study the survivors of the atomic bomb droppings on those cities to see how the radiation impacted, okay, the victims, okay, their victims, okay, people who were not combative, just going about their business, okay. So that shows you how proud these people are. Imagine, they didn't fly over there to go help them, bring aid or anything like that. They flew over there to go look and see how their weapon of mass destruction had impacted their target, which is women and children, okay? Non-combative civilians, okay? So when this devil speaks, this Shedemite speaks about they have not engaged in killing civilians, and I really want to bring out, how they deal with Jakes, from the slave trade across the Atlantic all the way to modern day. But I know this video would be clipped immediately as you bring those out, and it doesn't matter anymore. Okay, let's go into the book of Daniel 4:7, and Esau is doing a great job. Okay, because the Lord Yahweh Shemashai set him up to do a great job. Nothing can be expected out of the basis of man. Okay, the lowest created humanoid being. Okay, it's a so-called white man. It reads, "This matter is by the decree of the watchers and by the demand of the world of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of man and give it to whomsoever he will, and set up over it the basis of man." You wonder why the world is ruined? The world is in chaos. The earth itself is hurting and crying. The animals are unhappy. The animals are going to cheer when Esau is put into captivity. Okay? The trees are going to be happy. The bugs, the birds, everything is on this earth is going to be happy when the so-called white man, who's the devil that the Bible speaks of, is taken out of power. But for now, he has a job to do. Okay? This is Proverbs 29:2. It reads, "When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear it rule, the people mourn." The people are mourning. Okay? There is proof that they killed and murdered with their bombs those children over there in Iran. And I'm not speaking on behalf of the Iranians. Okay? We could care less about these other tribes. Okay? This is more of revealing Esau's wickedness. Okay? This is about making Esau, okay, bear. The Lord is making Esau bear. And our job as a prophet is simply to bring it out as it's written in the scripture. Okay? So you're seeing this woman, the Shedemite, this proud, wicked Shedemite, say that they have not killed any civilians. Yes, they have. They've been doing it for a long time. Okay? They kill the innocent. Okay? Let's go into Ecclesiasticus 10. And starting with verse 8, it reads, "Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches caused by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another." What kingdom? The rulership on earth. Now, I open up, with one of the scriptures with Daniel 4:17, where currently right now, okay, by the decree, the Most High has given the earth into the hands of the wicked. He put the most sorriest crybaby, okay, demented, psychopath, murderous, rapist, thief as rulers of this earth. And you can see Ecclesiasticus, okay, made it very clear that this man, okay, who's the basis of man, has dealt with the inhabitants of the earth unrighteously, murder and kill, okay, injuries, and his riches got by deceit. I mean, this woman actually went on to go and say that the Iranians go and kill women and kids and kill thousands of their own people. Where's the proof? There's no evidence of proof. Okay, but there's evidence and proof the so-called white man has hung, lynched, murdered, and committed mass genocide all across this planet. Let's close with the book of 1 Corinthians 6 and 9. Okay, because I just mentioned about, the kingdom being translated from one people to another, but it's not going to be, and while the kingdom is going to be translated to the meek, okay, who will inherit the earth, which is the Hebrew Israelites, so-called Black Americans and Latino, a lot of you Jakes, you're just like Esau. You're wicked like him. If the Lord Yahweh Shemash didn't have a protection over the prophets, y'all would have already killed us, just like how y'all did in the past. But it's not going to happen this time. And we have a different lesson that I'm going to go into of how we're going to deal with you rebellious Hebrew Israelites. Okay? Or y'all going to be dealt with. This is 1 Corinthians 6. It's out verse 9. It reads, Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of power? Be ye not deceived, neither fornicators, nor adulterers, nor adulterers, nor effeminate, faggots, nor abusers of themselves with mankind, faggots, sodomite. And this is Esau right here. And also you 2/3 that is associated with Esau. Puff Daddy or P. Diddy and all the rest of you faggot rappers out there pretend like you're hardcore. Nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor extortioners shall inherit the kingdom of power. So it's not going to be translated to y'all, it's going to be translated, okay, starting first with the men of the Lord, okay, 144,000 and the innumerable amount of believers, which is the 1/3. And such were some of you, but ye are washed, but ye are sanctified, but ye are justified in the name of the Hamashiach and by the spirit of our power. So we were all out there in the world. At one time we believed in this man and this horse shit. That they were innocent, that they were the good guys. But our eyes have been opened. And we can see clearly that this man is the wicked. Lord willing, let us edify like us also by giving all glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim, Rakakadash, Shalom.